Welcome back to the daddyDANK podcast, episode 2. I know I said I was going to do these pretty consistently, but one thing I didn't account for was that your podcast needs to be approved on all the platforms. And when I posted the last one, I just wanted to sort of get the podcast started, and my podcast wasn't approved on a few, so I had to make sure.
Based on what?
Well, it was pending approval for like 2 weeks, and then finally it was approved. So I'm here with one of my best friends of all time at this point, pretty much a brother, the one and only throat pipe, Dylan Nash.
Hey, man. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you, dude. So let me kind of tell you why I thought you would be the best first guest ever.
Okay.
So we've known each other for like what? Since we were like 13.
Yeah.
Do you even remember? Do you remember how it all started?
Say we were probably 13,
Like
somewhere around there. Yeah. Skateboarding, pre-internet skateboarding.
You know what I think it was? I think it was the emo scene. I think, like, my memory's probably going to fail me here, but I want to say you were in a band called Elise. And I saw you guys perform at the Wildlife when I was like 13.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I remember, like, we used to play with Prevail and all those guys.
Prevail's Tony's old, like, first band.
So that probably would have been when we bumped into each other. And yeah, around that era.
And yeah, so that's what I remember is seeing you play bass and scream in the band Elise. And I think how we connected, I think I was like, I don't know, for some reason I felt drawn to you. Maybe I was like fanboying, but I think I hit you up on MSN one day or added you to MSN Messenger, and we started shooting the shit just about things. And anyways, to make it long story short, the reason I wanted to have you on the podcast is because I feel like personally, I don't know that this podcast would even exist if it wasn't for you.
Yeah.
And I say that because I think that, like, when I was around that impressionable age, 13, 14, whatever it was, I was always into creative writing. I was always kind of like, I had a creative, like, bug swarming in me, but I wasn't outward with it. I didn't know how to really, like, deal with it. It was just kind of there. And, like, I met you, and, like, right away we started, like, collaborating on creative things. And I think that's how we originally connected. It was like,
yeah, that was definitely
doing shit, you know, like,
yeah, and like recording your brother's band.
Yeah,
and
me and Phil. We recorded a 5-song EP with Fruity Loop electric drums triggered of Prevail.
That was so fucking haggard.
Dude, one of the most embarrassing CDs of all time.
Oh man, I remember like recording at like your old like that house on like Stadacona or whatever, and like we couldn't afford laptops, so I had like a desktop like tower, and I would like record at your house and bring it over, and then like walk home at like 5 a.m, like just hauling a desktop tower like up, like walking like fucking 20 minutes to my house, just like, hey mom, I'm home. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
it's so funny because we lived like, I don't know, 5-6 blocks away from one another. The good old days in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
that was amazing. But like that was like kind of the birth of the reason I love doing things like this. Like podcasting is like a nice, amazing creative outlet that I've been wanting to do since, 2010. Literally, I remember telling Tony in 2010 I want to do a podcast one day. And like fast forward a decade later, here we are. I have 2 podcasts, and like even things with photography, like I feel like I attribute all of like me actually taking the leap to do these things, I attribute it to you, because like early on, dude, you were like the early adopter of everything. Like,
well, it was like nice to like when you're that young to have access to like just even if it was just raw dog like microphones and like the shittiest programs and like video editing software and stuff like that. It's cool just to be able to like make something even if it looks like just ridiculous now. Or
Dude,
like
it doesn't
shit.
it holds up now like
to an extent.
The theme and film crew. So this is like a perfect example of like how ahead of the curve you were, but like the theme and film crew literally happened because of you, and it was like a troupe, like literally like a YouTube troupe of people, like me, you, like Logan, Renee, like all of our like friends in early high school, grade 9, grade 10, 2004, something like that.
Yeah, right around there.
And like we didn't have YouTube. YouTube wasn't even in existence then. We didn't have a place to put the videos that we made. When you would record the video, you would have to like run it through your computer the old-fashioned way and like wait for it to watch the whole thing.
You have to like capture it through like mini DV or whatever. And we didn't have like cars. Like I was like trying to think of like how did we like do that shit, and like we couldn't even drive. It was just like walking to a place and like hoping you didn't get busted for filming in like inside Walmart or like
golf.
Yeah, man.
Dude,
that was fun.
But it was like such a unique and cool thing at the time, and honestly it kind of was ahead of the curve, because what we would do would we burn CDs and we would hand them out to people in high school.
Yeah, I'm sure
we had
there's
theme and DVDs.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't like ahead of the curve in terms of like, I'm sure there's tons of people doing that and stuff, but I mean, there's just no access to like share it. So it was like sending people like whatever, like to take 4 hours to send the new video to like 5 people or whatever. And you just like, there's no place to upload it or stream it or like make DVDs.
Literally nowhere.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the beauty of it, I think, is like we did it for pure fun. Like it kept us out of trouble. We fucking...
Yeah, it was...
We made literally videos on our spare time on the weekends and evenings whenever we weren't in school. Even for school, for my history class, we made... first of all, this was 2005, grade 10. I had a history project where I needed to describe the history and chronicle the life of John A. Macdonald. And he was the first Canadian prime minister. And I thought, you know what? Why not make a rap song about John A. Macdonald? And
true to John A. Macdonald's life.
Yeah, like literally chronicling his life, but in rhyme. And then make a music video, and who better to do that with? And obviously the whole thing was like collaborated with you. Like most of the shit that happened was your idea.
That turned out pretty fun.
Yeah.
It turned out pretty clean.
Dude, it was so like, I wish you must. Do you have that still?
Oh yeah. I have like catacombs of like hard drives in my mom's basement that are just
to fucking find those and access them, because honestly that was kind of mind blowing. We were 15, and like even when people were like, because this was like one of those projects where your teacher made you like present it to the class, and like everyone in the class was fucked, like in the head blown away with this project, because not only did we make a rap song and it was fully historical, accounting facts and everything, but we made like a music video to go with it. I remember there's like scenes of us at Waccamaw, like with your Volvo, and then us like dancing on the Volvo like boy band stuff.
Yeah, I think it worked pretty well for like school shit. I think I learned at a pretty early age that it doesn't really matter how good your project was as long as it like looked okay. And you like make a video, the teacher's like, what is this magic?
Like, holy fuck,
like, you made a video, holy fuck. And it's like the content was just awful,
dude. But it wasn't though. Like I look back on all of, like, I think that's why I've always been like, we've always collaborated so well together, is because like your ideas are so far-fetched and only you are able to like put it into like a thing. You know what I mean? Like, dude, we did so many fucking weird videos that like if you say them out loud, it's like, how is that an idea? But then we would make it and everyone would love it and it would be hilarious. And I just feel like, whereas me, I've always been sort of a creative writer, but like scared to pitch ideas. I've never been like,
didn't like jump into the deep end with like
yeah, where sometimes you'll throw out an idea that is just like, how did that pop into your mind?
Sometimes the first ones are like the first ideas you come up with are sometimes the like the more fun, or like they work out better because you don't overthink.
You're not
like
second guessing
as far as like videos and shit is concerned. Maybe not for like music, but I mean,
I actually like, I honestly think that like none of this podcast wouldn't have happened had it not been from like my early experience of like trying something and doing it, like, or thinking about something and actually just doing it. Like with the first episode of this podcast, I was like, first of all, I wouldn't even listen to me. You know, like I don't have enough time in the day to listen to some random fucking guy talking.
Yeah, I'm surprised that people listen to like if someone's listening to this right now. Like, dude, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, but like what I kind of realized with it is like it's not really as much as like it's cool that people listen, and like they obviously do, because I get messages where like people actually like say, hey, I like this, or could you talk more about this? But like beyond all that, I feel like what I've learned doing this is like it's way cooler to just have this archive of different cool conversations that you have with your friends, your family, people that you're interested in, and like not really care that much if people listen. And I feel like that for me is kind of why I keep wanting to do this. Like I know that no one's gonna listen to this shit, and I wouldn't if it was me. You know, I barely listen to like famous people's podcast. Why would you ever listen to like my podcast from Regina, Saskatchewan? It just,
but like, it's cool to have that, like you said, like the archive of how you're thinking at whatever certain moment, and like the way that your memories, like the memories are kind of like change over time, and you're like, oh, you like remember when you said this? Like it doesn't really like hold up as well as just like having that recording and being like looking back one day and being like, oh,
right, yeah, just going through it.
Shot the shit about that for
yeah, and like one thing I feel like with our friendship is like our friendship has always been very in the present moment. Like we've always shared these experiences together. Dude, so many, like whether we're in a band together, whether we're making music or videos or just hanging out, you're tattooing my whole leg. Like we have these like very present experiences, but like I've realized that we've never really like reflected on our friendship or like looked back and been like, wow, like
I don't think anybody really does. Like,
and that's the beauty of this, right? Is like you can kind of like it makes you like stop and think and appreciate, and I don't know. And that's kind of why I wanted to have you as the first guest, because like I feel like you are at least 50% responsible for anything that happens in my creative life. And yeah, like I feel like you're gonna be a regular on this podcast. Like literally,
that'd be fun, man.
If I have guests ever, you're always welcome to be like the third person, and like anytime you're available. Like
sweet.
Yeah, I want you to be a regular just because I feel like you're such a good yang to my yin.
Yeah,
in the sense that you're nice.
I'd love to.
You're nice, empathetic, understanding, very passive. You don't like confrontation, and I'm like hyper controversial, and like I love to just be overly aggressive and overbearing and obnoxious. And
yeah, well, I'm down if it balances you out a little bit. I've seen your recent Facebook activity. It's like,
dude, and that
forever.
Is okay, yo, dude, that is what I wanted to talk to you about today. That was what it was about. Okay,
about trolling.
Well, no, okay, well, yeah,
in a way,
I obviously love to troll. That's like no secret to anybody. Like anyone who's listening to this are the people that know that I like to just, I don't know, be provocative in the sense that like I just like,
oh yeah,
I like it though. Like it's hopes like you're literally addicted to like pushing people's buttons and pissing them off. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of a fucked up addiction, but she's right. Like I get something out of it, but I also feel like it encourages like dialogue with like weird situations, which is why I want to do this podcast, is because like I'm naturally inherently like that. So I want to like encourage that dialogue. Anyways, so this post that happened a couple days ago or whatever. So I came across a video. It's what's that girl's name? Hilary Duff.
Oh fuck yeah! I remember this one.
Did you?
I don't know. Your like activity is it's so frequent that it's hard to know like which.
And
Like,
it depends on the day too. Like
oh yeah.
like during fucking the political campaign and shit. Oh my god, I was loving just fighting with everyone on Facebook. I would spend hours just combating people.
Yeah.
And like
I
not
silently
really having an opinion. Like
yeah.
I don't really I mean I have an opinion, but like I am mostly the things I say are mostly trying to just affect people's moods.
And yeah, and it shows. Like you can just tell that you're like that little goblin that's just sneaking into everyone's consciousness. They're like at work, like fuck Frank down.
Dude, literally, and like oh fuck, that like they know that I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Like
it reads in your tone of like voice when you're typing something in, like any opportunity you have to like dig at somebody's like profile picture or something like that, you'll definitely take that step.
But it's funny to me because like I feel like even though they know, they still take the bait every time, man. And like there's some people that I just know will take it every time, and so I often. Anyways, so this post. It's Hilary Duff, okay. And like obviously this post is like a little bit I don't want to say personal because I really don't care that much, but like I'm a photographer, so that I know that like I have a little bit of bias towards this because I also have more knowledge about like, you know, a good camera and whatever, like practicing photography. Like I'm in that world. So I know that I have a little bias of this, but this for some reason just irked me, and so obviously I went to Facebook and I wanted basically my goal was to get all the angry 2020 white moms to chime in, and it worked like a charm.
Yeah,
the only people who chimed in were white moms.
Definitely looked like you succeeded from what I saw.
There was like 70 80 comments just on this post.
Did not watch this video though.
Okay, so basically just to set it up, what it is there's this photographer. He's, I would say, I don't know, like a 60-year-old black man, maybe 55. Black man looks, doesn't look weird to me. Does he look weird to you?
No, not really. He's got
he kind of just
fleece.
Looks like a dude. He's got a dad fleece, a Columbia dad fleece.
Cool.
Got a Nikon camera.
Kind of fashionable glasses almost.
Yeah, he's kind of like he just looks to me like a dad. But anyways, what he's doing is he's taking pictures at a kid's soccer practice or game, like these 7-year-old kids. And Hilary Duff posts on her Instagram, puts this guy on blast, says she captions the video, paparazzi shooting kids. Go practice, in quotations, your photography on adults. Creep. Laws need to change. This is stalking minors. Disgusting. So that's what she said. And that is how this whole situation was confronted. It wasn't confronted amicably. She didn't come up to him and like ask him what he was doing or why he was shooting. She came at him.
She came playing the pedophile card immediately.
Yeah, right away.
Yeah.
Right away, this dude is a pedophile and is trying to fuck kids. And to me, like, I didn't even see the video at first. All I did was read the article. I didn't see the video. I just read all of this that happened. And then I had this exchange with like 10 angry white moms who were like, I wouldn't want fucking someone taking pictures of my kid either. And I'm like, I get it. I probably wouldn't want someone taking pictures of my daughter either. But like, there's a way to go about the situation and not to just assume that everyone's a pedophile who has a camera, especially like a guy like this. Like, to me, looks completely normal. And here, let me just play the video for you so you see like what it is.
Hey, who are you here with? Who are you here with?
I'm here with me.
With you?
Yes.
Do you know any of the people on the team?
No.
Oh, can you stop taking pictures of the kids, please?
It's legal.
It's making me feel really uncomfortable.
Well, you shouldn't feel uncomfortable. You want me to show you ID?
I'm not asking for your ID. I'm asking you to stop taking pictures of our 7-year-old children if you don't know anyone that's here.
But it's legal.
I'm asking
not
you,
against the law.
human to human, as a mother, if you don't know anyone here, can you please stop taking pictures of our children, kind? football this
But
morning.
I'm just telling you, it's not illegal.
That's okay that you're
Well,
saying
I'm taking pictures. I'm practicing photography. And I'm
Can
not
you
here
practice it on another?
I'm not here to scare you or anything like that.
But you are?
Your paranoia is unwarranted. That's what I'm telling you.
No, it's just an uncomfortability factor that these are 7-year-old children and you don't have a child here.
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, there are children and we would like to protect them. So if you could take pictures and practice your photography somewhere else.
Taking pictures of them is not. What
Okay,
about other
then
people?
I will just post this to my 15 million followers on Instagram and let people know how creepy it is that this is what you're choosing to do on your Saturday morning. And
Creepy
make
to
all
who?
of
Creepy to who?
all of these parents with these
No,
kids.
you're making it creepy because you're the one.
Okay, like what do you think about that? I want your honest take. Like if you think it's fucked up, tell me. But like,
No, I don't know. It's pretty fucked up to like post that like on public, like on the internet and stuff. I mean,
to put Buddy on blast.
if she was like really like concerned, like if she wants to call the cops or something like that seems like a more a more normal reaction if you're actually thinking this guy's doing that. But I mean, to like,
But like, what initially should somebody do? Do they right away approach someone like she approached this guy, saying, "I feel uncomfortable. You're taking pictures of 7-year-olds," or do you say, like, "How long have you been taking photos? Like, what's your purpose here? What are you doing right now?" Instead of immediately on the attack. Like that's kind of the problem that I had with this video, is that she didn't even give this dude a chance to explain himself. He right away, the first thing he did was offer to show his ID. Like he's not like he's hiding anything.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess she did like jump the gun a bit on like accusing him of like that it's creepy and stuff like that. Like maybe he's just taking some photos of like sports, practicing sports photography or something like that, and ask him about it. And if she does feel uncomfortable with him taking photos of the kids, like maybe that's something they could have worked out. But she immediately went to the very aggressive sort of stance on it.
Dude, and I get it. Like the reason I posted this was because I didn't really have like the answer. Like I would feel kind of weird if a stranger was taking pictures of my kid, and like even Hope commented on the Facebook post saying I would feel pretty uncomfortable if someone was taking pictures of Brett. But at the time when I read this article, because I didn't see the video, I thought he was taking pictures of them playing in a park. And to me, that's felt a little more creepy, but I still tried to defend him. I was like, you know what? Like some of the best photos in the world were taken when no one thought that they were taking photos, whatever. But anyways, I'll read like some of these comments. Like the first comment, I don't think his intentions were creepy. However, I guarantee he was there to get the shot so he could make a quick buck with the tabloids. He wasn't just randomly taking pictures of kids playing a sporting game. Duff's kid just happened to be on the team. For sure, he knew her kid and probably other high-profile celebrities. And she's like, he's not the victim. He knew what he was doing.
I don't think that the Duff kid is the guy the paparazzi people are going for right now.
Yeah, right? And do you even think that he was taking pictures of, like, he even knew Hilary Duff was there? I don't, personally. I think he was literally practicing photography. He's got a sports lens. He's got a Nikon camera. He looks not creepy in any way.
Yeah, if that dude was a paparazzi, he'd be popping shots of her freaking out at him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that would be the money shot, right?
And this guy probably didn't know who she was. She's probably like, oh man, this is going to be
dude. And like
annoying.
I said, I understand where white 2020 moms are coming from. Like,
yeah, I mean, if she would have just been like more calm with it, he probably would have left and like been,
or just not assume he's a pedophile. This is like kind of my problem. Like now that I have a kid, I kind of am like hyper aware of like parents. Like it's just like, you know, when you buy a new car, you see your new car everywhere and you didn't before, you know, it's like the same idea. And like one thing I notice is like everyone tries to be this perfect parent and everyone automatically assumes everyone's out to get their kids. And like, while pedophiles take up, you know, 0.0002 of the population, we treat the way we go about our lives as parents as like, there's like 10% of the population are pedophiles.
Well,
you know
the fear
I mean?
mongering is huge in the media with that kind of stuff. I mean, and it's a good thing to be cautious about and aware and like not to put your kids in those situations.
sure.
But I definitely think that like this guy is probably not.
But would you have ever looked at that and thought, oh, he's probably gonna go jerk off to those photos after?
No, that's a weird. That's a weird angle.
It's a weird thing to go to, right?
Yeah, those kids like they're just playing soccer. It does not seem like a. Yeah, I mean, might be going for different sports or something like that. But
Yeah, I don't know. And like,
know.
okay, some more comments. I feel like if I was at the park and someone was taking pictures of my kid, I would fucking rage. I can't imagine why anyone would want pictures of my kids flailing around and tantruming. But if they did, I'd make my husband beat them up. And then I just said, like, I was just trying to say, like, it seems short-sighted to like go the pedophile route instantly when someone's could just be a photography person or could just be like a guy who likes kids genuinely, like a guy who volunteers at a hospital and holds babies, not like we automatically assume the worst of people. And I feel like I just remember being a kid in the 90s and like if a dad was like sliding down a slide with me at the park, I didn't think he was trying to fuck me, and either did my parents. They just let the guy slide down the slide with me and play because it's like, I don't know. I know times are different.
I can honestly say that a man has never slid down a slide with me.
Yeah, I mean that
guy might have been trying to rape you.
Actually, come to think of it, I'm just kidding. But like, I don't know. You see some of the most famous photographs in history. Some of them are of kids, and they were candid. Kids sometimes didn't know that the guy was taking the photo. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like we get so sensitive about photography and like the idea that everyone is out to get us. But like, I was just posing the question, like, what is so fucking awful about what this guy's doing?
Yeah, and he offered his ID and stuff like on
right away.
With if his reaction was a bit different, like maybe throwing him on social media and like doing all the paranoid stuff would be more warranted. But like he just offered his ID straight away. If you were worried about it, you could go to the police and give them his name and stuff. And maybe he just wants to be like a sideline photographer for like soccer for NFL or something like that. Like
to me,
whatever.
that's like that's the thing. I know that like guys like us maybe have a little more awareness of that because like I know that you don't just get to be an NFL photographer by starting in the NFL.
Yeah, you
have to start small.
And
Sports photography is hard. And so one of the questions I was asking one of the moms who were getting mad at me was like, okay, so what if he had a kid and he was shooting the kid's soccer game, but then thought, oh, I'm going to stay for the next game. My kid's not playing, but I'm going to stay for the next game and keep taking pictures.
Yeah.
Like, what then? How does that change the situation? Like, technically, he's doing the exact same thing. Taking pictures, kids playing soccer, when he doesn't have a kid that's playing on the team.
Yeah. It's kind of just have to have a dialogue between the two people. Like if there is a big concern that like they don't want their kids photos taken, then talk to him, like let him know. I'm sure that he's like, if you like put up a fight to be there, I might be a little bit worried. It's like, fuck you, man. Like or
he like scurries away.
Gotta get these pics.
Yeah. Or he's like she asks, what are you doing? He's like, nothing.
Yeah.
Like then I could see her blasting this fucking guy to 15 million people.
Yeah.
That's fucked up to me. Like putting this guy on blast who's just a photographer guy.
Yeah. But I see it from both sides. I mean,
do you though?
If I wouldn't go to a kid's soccer game and take photos of other people's kids.
You would for sure look like it.
Well, even if it didn't look the way that I did, I would not pull out my like this is legal card and be like, I'm taking pictures of these kids whether you like it or not.
Yeah, right.
Like, I would not do that. But I mean, if this guy's like lane, stick to it. I mean,
I don't know.
It's a weird dilemma.
It is. It's a weird situation. And like the only thing I was really like had a problem with was just the way Hilary Duff handled it. Like, I feel like it's definitely fine to be on the offensive. If someone was taking pictures of my daughter, I would probably be like, you know, like at least go up and be like, what are you doing? Like, but like to automatically go up there and be like, I'm going to blast you with my 50 million followers, you fucking creep. And like, this guy's not a creep. Like, watch the video. He's fucking not.
Yeah.
There's no Bill Cosby vibes at all. He's just a fucking.
Does he have a response to his?
I don't know.
64 followers.
Yeah, right.
His,
like that.
Did they
Now
look
this guy's
into him?
gonna be scared to like ever do photography again.
Oh yeah, no, they'll be like, you're that soccer guy, aren't you?
But like, actually, a dad chimed in, which I was surprised
on the Facebook thing.
Yeah, a couple, two dads. Like, there was a bunch of comments, mostly white moms, but a dad chimed in and said basically like what I am saying is like, as a dad with two kids, if he's taking photos of my kids at a distance playing, I don't care. Now, if he started chatting with my kids, maybe asking him to pose, we might have a problem.
That's a red flag for sure.
And he's like, also, if it's just my kids solo or in a group, but for some reason, if a butterfly was flying around and my kid was playing and some random dude wanted to capture the moment, sure, like, I get it. I'd probably be like, hey, can I get a copy? But I wouldn't ask him to fuck off. Like, chill out. Not everyone is out to get your kids. I would say mostly everyone isn't out to get your kids.
They probably, like, if there was any kind of pedophile thing going on, everyone would fight to protect the kid. Like, like everybody, any normal person, if they had nothing to do with the situation, would step in to protect a kid from something like that.
And even in the video, she like pans to the group, and none of them are bothered. They're all just like sitting there watching the kids.
Yeah. And speaking of that, that video did not give me a celebrity soccer game vibe either.
Right?
Like what league is Hilary Duff signing her kids up for?
Yeah, and what paparazzi are like spending their day attending Hilary Duff's kids' soccer practice.
Maybe it's a big like. Maybe this is a big like fake media thing for Hilary Duff. She's like, this is the first phase. I'm gonna start calling people out for taking pictures of my kids.
Maybe it's just to make Lizzie McGuire relevant again.
Oh yeah, I bet there's probably like some kind of Lizzie McGuire movie coming out like 20 years later.
Yeah, but like, to continue his point, he actually does make a good point saying, he's like, I would be with the ladies kind of because the shit that they go through and have gone through on a regular basis with social media and creeps makes it hard. An example, my wife tries to sell shoes on Facebook, gets messaged to provide foot photos for
oh my god,
for the shoes instead of money or whatever.
That is
he's like, hard not to paint everyone with a brush when shit like that happens on the regular. He does make a good point. There are a lot of like creepy people, and I'm not denying that. Like I said, I would also feel, I don't know if my instinct would be to feel uncomfortable, but it would definitely be to like.
That's kind of a different thing though. Like, that's for like women and girls and stuff, right? Like, if he was taking pictures of like young girls doing like gymnastics and stuff, like super,
like just zooming in on like their asses playing volleyball or something, you know?
Yeah, like that's totally like that's definitely an issue for women and stuff like that. But I mean, for taking pictures of kids and stuff like that, it is creepy and kind of like gives off that vibe, but it's not like a I mean, it's something that people do. It's
so tough for me because like I grew up playing sports from the minute I was 4, you know, and throughout my entire career, whether it was hockey, baseball, lacrosse, there was always some dude taking pictures of us, some dude I didn't know. Like, I think that there are probably very few people in the world that their thing that gets them off is kids playing sports.
Yeah. I'd like to see those numbers.
Like, I don't know. I just can't get on board with her behavior. Like, yeah, I think it sets a bad example on how to parent in 2020. I don't know. Like, and then it kind of like, it makes me think about what even is consent. Like, what does consent mean in 2020?
As far as like this kind of stuff goes,
or even as like a more broad idea, like if you consider that, like, I have a Google account, so I consent to let them know everything that I do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I really haven't consented to that, I mean, I use their service, and they probably have like a privacy agreement thing that no one reads.
So in the eyes of the law, you did consent to that. Yeah.
But do you? Like, do I love the fact that Google literally knows everything about me, dude? I have Google devices in every room of my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have every photo I take goes onto Google Photos and is backed up instantly.
Yeah, it's terrifying, and it's not something that you inherently consent to, but we have all kind of signed away our privacy.
That's what I mean. Like, do you think consent is what it was before the internet, or before, like, you know, the internet kind of went crazy?
Yeah, it all depends on what subject you're consenting to and stuff like that. I'm sure like social consent has always sort of been the same. Like you don't allow people to do things differently than you did back in the day, but now maybe you're going to verbalize it more. Maybe you're going to say you can do this, you can't do this, you can, like, as far as like relationships go and stuff like that. Obviously that's a lot more in the mainstream, so like consenting is being acknowledged a lot more. But as far as like consenting to these sort of like online agreements or privacy agreements and stuff like that, I think it was probably always like the same amount. We're just aware of it now that because of like the NSA whistleblowers and stuff like that. You're kind of aware that you're consenting to way more than you thought you were before. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe you just didn't know before, but you have always been on the same level of like,
Yeah.
not being private.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. For me, it's like, it's tough to think about how to raise a kid in 2020, because on one hand, it's like not bad, you know, like we've evolved, you know, like life isn't as bad as like the internet makes you feel like it is. But on the other hand, it's like there's all these like other things that there's no education about, and there's, you know, we're just kind of handed all these devices and there's no education on how to use them properly, you know?
And that's going to be a huge problem for people in the next, like, probably even right now. But when the kids who were born after like MySpace and Facebook all came in and they grew up with that, and there's nothing before.
Yeah.
I think those people are going to have
It's just CBD, by the way.
oh yeah. Why don't you give it
There's not really any weed in here.
Take a
There's a
little
little bit of THC, but it's mostly CBD.
right on.
I don't really like getting baked anymore. I'm too old for that shit.
Yeah, once in a while. But yeah, I think there will be some rank repercussions for children that were born just after our age.
Well, I feel like even my little cousins, like, they don't really know life. Like, that's the nice thing. Like, we're kind of the last generation that like remembers vaguely what it was like, at least to just have a flip phone that all you could do was text.
Yeah.
Like, there was no smartness. It was texting with T9 and a flip phone that you could call your mom on if you were drunk in a field, you know, like, whereas kids nowadays, they have to grow up with literally like, dude, when I was 12, I got my first computer, Packard Bell, 1998, but it was for some reason, it was like the year 2000. And I remember going on tits.com.
Just trying to find anything.
Like, I'm like, the internet, like, what happens if I type in tits.com? And I typed it in, and I had no education about computers. I was just a guy exploring, and I was 12.
Yeah.
And I remember going to bed that night, and that night, like 2 hours after I had visited tits.com, my mom wakes me up in a rage
Oh,
I'm in bed. I literally wake up to her face in front of my face, and she's like, I had no idea because I'm like, there's like,
what's browser history?
yeah, like tits.com would have never even been an occurrence to my brain that this is why she was even in my room. All she says to me was tits.com, and right away I'm like, how did you know? And I owned up to it, but like, I don't know, like I remember those times and I remember the times before that, and like now kids at a very young age, like the minute you give them a screen of any kind, they have access to reality, the real world.
Oh yeah.
Like porn that is nasty, you know?
To say that's putting it lightly.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, I can't even fathom what like kids born in 2015 are going to be into in their porn searches in 20 years.
It's going to change like the way that people
behave,
live, and like the relationships and stuff like that. Like with Tinder and stuff, even I've never tried it out, but I can see that it's going to be a lot easier in the future for people who are in their 14 to like 20 age range, whatever. They're going to find like hookups all the time with apps and stuff like that. Like back when we were young and you get a girlfriend and you're like, oh,
yeah, it's like the highlight of your whole fucking existence. And now it's almost like girlfriends are just more content that we consume.
It's going to be put a less of a value on finding an actual like connection or a relationship.
Right.
It's
but doesn't it kind of put less of a value on everything?
Yeah, well, that's just one aspect of it.
Videos,
music, like the way that music is accessible now. You listen to one or two songs from an album, and then that album was good.
You're done with it. You don't live with it like we used to when we had our CD cases, and like you would go on a road trip and you only had those CDs. You didn't have like access to everything.
Yeah,
it makes you value it less.
It definitely dilutes life in a lot of ways. Like it makes everything kind of less you're less present in it. You're always, there's always something better or something else.
The grass is always greener.
Yeah, you're
somewhere else.
You go to a beautiful place like around the world, you're traveling and you're on your phone looking at what people are doing back in your hometown, or you're trying to go to places that you can take photos of to prove that you're there, and you're there for the photo. You don't really give a fuck about it. I think that's going to set up children for they're living to post, like they're living to make a profile instead of living to actually
live to experience life.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's guilty of it, and it's kind of something you have to not try to do. But
you have to like make an effort to keep the balance. But I feel like if you don't know any different, like we're lucky, we know that it's important to have real lifetime. But people who grow up born in 2000 or later, I think don't really know the importance of like putting your phone away. And I think that's why I love podcasting. We haven't been on our phones. We've just fucking been chatting. And it's like when we're done today, we're going to both feel better just because we got to talk. Yeah. You know, we weren't constantly interrupted by like some alternate reality that it's almost like virtual reality, dude. Like you take yourself out of where you are to go experience the other side where the grass is greener. And I feel like that is kind of the biggest consequence of all of it is I feel like in 10 years, every kid growing up is always going to think that there's something better, and they're never going to be content with where they are.
Yeah.
And it's even hard for us if we're not aware of it to
you got to stop yourself like that, for sure.
Right?
And I don't think that everyone, like this whole generation is going to be fucked, because I'm sure there's like probably more than we would think that are actually living like well, and they know when to not go too deep into the social media.
Do they though? Like how many people are we talking? 6, 7? Dude, let's say kids under the age of 16 today. Do you really think they're like putting their phone down for an hour to have like Goose Rava time?
I have no idea. I really don't.
Me neither.
The human in me makes me think that there probably is there's probably a group of like people who are just just living their lives and
Right.
enjoying the moment and not trying to do that.
You're
But
too optimistic.
I just
just
can't
kidding.
imagine that every single person.
No,
but
I don't
definitely
mean-
the trend is definitely like,
Yeah, you're right.
and it's
It
going to hurt mental health, and it's going to hurt.
already is. Like, it,
Yeah.
there was like, I obviously can't knock mental health because I feel like I've experienced some mental health issues throughout my life, and I've definitely seen it in family and friends. But like, I feel like the mental health crisis, or whatever you want to call it, has definitely skyrocketed since the invention of a smartphone.
Yeah, absolutely. The like the sort of like bullying side of the whole social media thing, I think that is just fueling, like you can get back at people by bullying them, or you can talk shit about somebody and they make sure that they can see what you're saying. I think all that stuff is gonna, obviously it already is, but it's gonna make it harder to have a quiet mind when you're like 13, 14, going into your teenage years. You're going to be constantly thinking, what do other people think about me? And
Dude, that
what
breaks my heart, man. It breaks my heart because you already think about that stuff without devices. Like when I was 14, before I ever had a phone, I was very concerned with like what people thought about me. And like, it's weird to associate myself with like that kid, because I, for a very long time, haven't really felt like that. But like at the time, I clearly, distinctly remember like everything I did was for like other people. Like I wanted everyone to think I was cool. I wanted everyone to like the way I dressed. I wanted, you know, like, and I don't know. I just feel like
it just wasn't as like, you can't see the likes that you get on a post.
exactly.
And so like there's
you can go home and recharge.
yeah, now all of the like insecurities and things of people judging you and all those things are like quantified by your whatever you care about, your likes or your friend amount or whatever.
Followers and
Yeah, now you can see that you're a loser a lot like a lot more than back in the day when you're like, I just don't think people will have my phone number right now.
Yeah.
Like you're definitely not a cool guy when you know you're not.
For sure.
But you have to embrace that and be okay with who you are and not really give a fuck about social media, because if you do, then it's going to be like a downward spiral for the rest of your life, I think. I don't know.
I know, but you're right, and I think that like it needs to start with like education, to educate the kids who just grew up in this fucking crazy online world. Like
that should be like an elementary school and high school class of like
full class, like a fucking. If religion is a class, I'm sorry, but like using devices needs to be a class.
Or deciphering like deciphering social
Dude, they
medias.
should literally have a grade 4 class called nudes.
what to do, what not to
what
do.
to do when someone sends you a dick pic. what to do when every single guy that you get on Snapchat asks you to take your shirt off.
Oh my god, I
you
can't.
know, like
I feel so sorry for pretty much every girl that has to deal with that kind of shit.
dude, girls have it by far the worst. That's why I knew I was gonna get a lot of moms commenting on that post, because I know that it's so near and dear to them, because they get it the worst.
Oh yeah.
And I was literally like, I posted that because I was curious. I knew kind of what I would hear back from posting that, but like I wanted to just confirm that like, that is every mom's biggest fear, and they do deal with a lot of creeps, so it's really hard not to have that fucking, you know, that
It could
angry
go,
instinct where you're just like, mom, like these are my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is like a red, like you would say like a red flag if you just describe the situation that there's some random dude taking photos. It'd kind of be like if you're in a bar and like you set your drink down and then some guy just like went over to your drink and like looked at it. And you're like, oh, are you gonna like put a date rape drug in there?
Right.
No, I'm just like I'm a cup salesman. I've been examining
I work
these
for
cups.
Cisco.
Yeah, like, you'd be like, okay, no, get the fuck out of here. And that's the same. Like you get creeped out by certain people giving off creepy, creepy
or
vibes,
even
but-
not creepy vibes. You're still on the defense because like your kids, and I can attest to this, are the fucking your world, dude. Like they're like the thing you think about in every situation you're in. Like, so I get that, but like, let me ask you this: does it matter that he was black? Does it matter that he was old?
To who?
To
Hilary Duff?
To Hilary Duff / 2020 mums. And by 2020 mums, I kind of just mean 2020 parents. But like,
I don't think it mattered. I think people are pretty.
No, I guess not mattered, but
a factor.
Was it a factor? Because like perfect example. I went to Brazil for the carnival in 2016, and I thought I was just this, I thought I was this traveled, cultured guy who had no oppositions to different cultures and different races. I thought I was just this perfect, this ideal worldly man.
The honeymoon traveler stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Where you just like,
everything is
I've
safe.
been to different cultures. And so I went to this 1 million person party in downtown Rio. 1 million people. Like if you've ever been to carnival, if you're listening, you know. But like it's the craziest thing you could ever imagine seeing. And everywhere you went, there's just different parties going on within the
bigger party.
Yeah. And we were walking down the street, me and my two buddies, and there was this guy with one eye that he didn't speak English, but he was trying to tell us not to go down this road. And because he had one eye, I was like, okay, fuck that guy. I'm going to go down that road.
Yeah.
And we all did. And we went down that road, and it was, here's the thing. It was 1,000 black people, all Brazilian black, so jacked, 6'9", huge. And instantly when I turned that corner, I had a fear that came over my body that I've never felt in my life. And I have no objections to black people, or like I don't assume every black person I meet is like gonna hurt me. I don't at all.
So what you're saying is you trust one-eyed people now.
but isn't it kind of ironic that like we're talking about like not trusting people? That guy I didn't trust, and he was trying to warn me not to go into a place that he knew I would be feared in. And like my point is like, even someone who thinks that race or gender or age doesn't really play a factor into the way they experience life, I feel like is wrong, because we're all socially conditioned to experience life in a certain way. We're both from Moose Jaw, a very white community, especially when we were kids. I don't know why I felt so horrified and scared of that black block, of people. I don't know why, because in my heart, I don't feel like I'm racist. I love black people. I have black friends. I have Indian friends. I have Chinese friends. Like I literally have friends from a million different cultures, yet I felt very scared.
The one-eyed man warning you would probably that might have fueled your anxiety a little bit. I know probably anytime there's something like that comes up in your life, you're like, this is going to be a memorable time.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, I just think, did the fact that he was black maybe have some type of feeling factor
in this particular
in this instance, or in any instance?
Might have subconsciously. I don't think Hilary Duff is
I don't think she's racist. I'm not saying she's racist, because I just admitted that like I was scared of a bunch of black people, and I'm not. Like, I swear to God, I'm not. Let me reiterate for any of the bloggers in this world, I am not racist. I love black people. I love gay people. I love any type of person. I was very scared, dude. I was like scared, a fear I've never felt. And I don't know why. I always think about it because I just don't know why I was so scared.
Yeah. Well, I think like probably most of the weird pedophile dudes are like usually white, like creepy white guys,
that's how
right?
I envision pedophiles.
Historically, yeah. I just definitely have like the
Vatican.
Rimmed glasses, like thin rimmed glasses, kind of like patchy hair. But he didn't fit the bill on that one. But I think it could have subconsciously had something to do with it.
It's tough. Like, it's such a weird situation. That's why it intrigued me. Because, like, I feel for both of them. And I just thought maybe on both of their parts it could have been handled differently. But I also feel like that guy did not deserve to be blasted to the US for that.
Definitely not.
And that was the kind of behavior that really kind of fucked the way I looked at that situation up. It was
Especially
just like, don't blast the guy. Have that experience, not with 15 million other people.
Yeah. And if you are concerned, like if you're as concerned as you say you are, call the cops and get like a picture of his ID, check him out, make sure everything's cool. And I mean, throwing his life like under the bus there it's kind of like jumping the gun a little bit. Maybe wait until you figure out exactly what's going on before you, because I mean, this guy might have been like the nicest dude in the world, or he could have been a pedophile. Either way, you should like.
Right, but like anyone can be a pedophile.
Exactly.
Nice, mean, like inconspicuous. Like, I think that we all have this like face of pedophilia. Like, we know pedophiles, but we don't. And we also don't know abusers, or we don't know people who are battling addiction or mental health issues. Like, we pretend like we know the prototypical person, but we really don't, man. Anyone can have mental health issues. Anyone can be an addict or an alcoholic.
Oh, absolutely.
And anyone can be a pedophile. Like, I don't think it's good practice to assume that everyone is. Especially, like, dude, it makes me sad that, like, I have to even have these thoughts when I have a daughter that's going to grow up one day. And, like, I have to feel weird about, like, an old guy just liking her being a kid, you know? Like, I don't know, like, I look at my grandpa, he loves my daughter, dude. Like, he just loves her. Like, fully, she's a baby, she's beautiful. You know, like, there are just real good men who remember their kids maybe as babies, and they're just drawn to babies in a way that I never thought I would be, but even I am. Like, I love babies now.
Well, my mom is really like, she will go up to like cold call a baby at the grocery store, just walk right up to it and be like, can I
hold your baby?
It's like, oh my God. Yeah. Like she I think she's probably aware now, because every time that I went out with my mom into the grocery stores and she started getting her like baby eyes going and stuff, I'm like, Mom, just leave them the fuck alone.
Because pregnant girls hate it, man. Like,
oh yeah, I can imagine. And
just like some stranger coming and rubbing their belly if they're pregnant, or like, oh, he's so cute, how old is he? But like, your mom, again, so nice.
She's like obsessed
for sure
with
not
kids.
A pedophile. You know?
I hope not,
dude. But that's what I mean. Like, oh, and it is a gender thing. Like, it is very different if a man does that at a grocery store to your mom doing that at a grocery store.
I have to agree. Or this, if that was a nice lady with like
taking pictures,
a big camera like that, I don't think it would have been a big social media thing.
Shit.
Yeah, it's kind of a...
And like, not to discount the fact that probably 99% of rapists are men.
Say, yeah, like it'd
like,
be...
Not to take anything away from that, but I think that these things that we think don't play factors, like, we're all socially conditioned into a framework that we were just brought into, whether you live, you know, in the ghetto of whatever city you live in, or the rich area. You all come from these like preconceived ideas, whether it's through education or just socialization.
Yeah, you definitely have an impression on the atmosphere you grew up in. And it's not, I think we got pretty lucky because our families are pretty like
progressive, and
progressive,
a little more liberal,
accepting, and they've traveled and stuff. They understand the ins and outs. But
for sure,
definitely, if you grew up in a family that was a little more racist or against any group of people, or if you were abused like sexually as a child or something like that, or you had family members who were doing that,
you're gonna come at it from a whole different angle.
It's gonna be a completely different perspective from
and the things you think don't matter, like race, gender, age, matter, dude. They have some type of effect on the psyche of whoever's having the thought. And like, I don't know, I like, it's funny, like, the one time in my life that I experienced racism for being white, it's vivid in my mind the time that it happened. And like, I don't know, I just couldn't imagine going through that every day, you know? And like, we pretend it feels fuzzy and warm and good to pretend like we are all just these worldly people that love everyone and like peace.
We have no idea what it's like to be on that end. Yeah.
Especially that. And we just also can't think of the world in this gray tone, because our experiences, the people around us, like Saskatchewan people, dude, have crazy, like extremist views on things.
Yeah.
That only really exist here or like in other places like here.
Isolated prairie sort of like, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, like kind of a little bit self-centered mindset, I find.
Mm-hmm. Like it's like the stereotypical like country racism kind of stuff too. Like in the far reaches, there's a lot of that, and then in the middle there's everybody who's just kind of influenced by it, and there's the people who are really, really like unaffected by it and stuff. And we're kind of like the
rednecks of Canada, really. But like, yeah, and like, I don't know, you were saying like me and you are super lucky because we come from these families, and you're right. But even if I turn the block and feel scared of black people, and I'm one of the lucky ones, imagine what the experience is like of somebody who maybe didn't have good parents or didn't have like some type of like network to like help them understand that race isn't important and it doesn't make anyone less equal or whatever. Like, we came from families that taught us that, you know? Fuck, dude.
It'd be a yeah, I can't imagine the only perspective I know is the one that I have right now, but I can imagine that there's so much horrible shit that people automatically think because of the way they've been raised or because of what they've grew up in or the hardships they've had to face and stuff. Dude. It really just warps your...
It can't not, right? Yeah. It's your experience and everything's relative. And like, the racist experience that I had, it's hilarious, dude, because like it was 4 a.m. and I was leaving my so when I first moved to Chile, I lived with my aunt in like a suburb kind of ghetto, like I would say for my standards extremely ghetto, for like Chilean standards like ghetto. And all my friends were there. Like, that was where my group of friends was, but I lived in downtown.
Oh yeah.
So I lived in a little bit less ghetto of a place, but I went back to visit them all because there was one of my buddy's birthdays, and I was taking the bus home at 4 a.m. by myself as a white dude in the ghetto of like ghetto Chile. The city's called Maipú, like the like Maipú, like the community, But anyway, so I was taking the bus and it was just me. It was 4 a.m., middle of the night. And this guy comes up to the bus stop and he's fucked. He's drunk. And I knew the second I saw him that he was going to like come up to me and like either talk to me or whatever he was going to do. And the first thing he said was like, he looks at me, he starts talking to me, he says like, I don't know, I think he was saying something about when the bus is going to come. And he didn't know at first that I was like Canadian. I spoke fluent Spanish, but like he didn't know that I wasn't like from there, you know? And then of course, as soon as I answered him, fluent Spanish, he could tell right away, he's like, you're not from here. Like, and the first thing he said to me, dude, was, you know that if I was with my friends right now, we would fucking kill you right now.
Holy shit.
He's like, we would jump you, we would steal everything, and we would beat the shit out of you. Told me that straight up because he was drunk and he's from the worst case scenario that you can be really there.
Jesus.
And I was waiting at the bus stop with just him. And so we're sitting there together, and so it already started off on the wrong foot, you know, like I'm already like, I got my fisticuffs ready to go just in case he was a small guy. I wasn't scared of him by any means because he was just small and very drunk. So I just knew like no matter what happened. and I was so glad he was alone. But then he started telling me that he was in this suburb because he was cheating on his wife. They had a daughter together, and he had went to jail for 5 years, and he'd missed all of his daughter's like life up to that point. And he started crying at the bus stop, saying how sad he feels that he just cheated on his wife and blah, blah, blah.
Wow. That's turned into a kind of a heartwarming
but then,
story.
Then we get on the bus, and of course he's going the same distance as me. So I'm like, fuck. I just didn't want to be associated with him because he was so drunk, and like he was definitely confrontational. Get on the bus. He starts trying to pick fights with like nice people on the bus, and he's sitting beside me. So now everyone thinks I'm with him and whatever. And we get it's called Las Rejas. It's like right in the downtown. It's like the main stop. And the bus is like, we can't go any further. There was protests. So you guys all have to get out here. And it was like a couple miles from my house.
Shit.
And I was with this guy, and it was just me and him, and we both had to get off at this stop. I was like, I couldn't wait to get off at my stop and never see or talk to him again. Not because we did have a meaningful conversation on the way there about like, I kept asking him like, why do you automatically hate me?
Yeah.
I literally just asked the question because we were in this situation where it's like he wasn't with his friends, so he wasn't going to try anything. And like, now was my opportunity, the first time ever I've experienced racism, to just ask like, why do you hate me? And his response was, because you had opportunities that I never got to even dream of, like education, like being born with some type of like economic situation. He's like, you just didn't have, I never had that.
Yeah.
So I hate you because you did. And I tried to talk some sense into him, saying like, sorry, like I did not get to choose the same way you didn't. We didn't get to choose what situation we came into. And I'm like, I don't have that much money either. I don't know what you're talking about. I probably have less money than you, but I'm definitely more fortunate, obviously. And we talked, and we had like a good conversation, and we get off at Las Rejas, and we're like walking, and I'm like, at this point, I kind of like feel bad for the guy, and I'm like, I just want him to get home safe and be whatever. And so I was going to pay for a cab from that station. We had to walk like 3 blocks to get to like where the cabs were. Mm-hmm. I was going to just pay for his ride home because I was like, you know what, this would be a nice ending to like kind of a crazy story.
Yeah. That
kind of taught me just a lot. And on our way to the cabs, I didn't tell him I was going to pay for it. He like pretends like he's coming in to like hug me, and like we're like walking and we're kind of stupering because we're drunk. And then he like grabs me and he like pulls me, and he's like, I'll fucking kill you. And I was just like, what the fuck? And like my fight or flight instinct took over, like something I've never really felt before until that moment where you're actually like, okay, I have to protect myself. And I just like threw him against the wall. And I'm like, okay, your friends aren't here. Like, you're not obviously going to do, unless you stab me or shoot me in the face, you're not going to do anything. And I like folded him in a little ball, and I'm just like, I want to pay for a cab for you home. Like I was just about to, and then you pull this shit.
Yeah. So
I ended up sending him in a cab, and he went home, and
you stood him up and put him in a cab?
No, I let go of him, and then we continued the 3-block walk to where the cabs were. And then I put him in a cab, and I'm just like, just go home to your fucking family and the daughter that you've missed out for 5 years. And he was crying, and he's so grateful. And then he's like, oh, like, can I just invite you over for supper tomorrow? Like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, dude, no. Just go. But like, I always think about that moment as like the one time in my life that I experienced some type of being the lesser, or like the them instead of the us. And I couldn't imagine feeling like that every day. Yeah. And like being a part of the people who do feel like that every day. That's something that like,
we'll never have that perspective, or like, even no matter how many times you get described what it's like to feel that kind of stuff, there's no way you can wrap your mind around unless you were indoctrinated and grew up into that and into a society that was racist, or a society that didn't accept you for whatever couldn't be anything. Like, it doesn't have to be race, but like if you're a transgender person or something like that, you never really know what it's like until you're in that position. But
exactly, dude. Even if you
can try
think you do know.
Yeah, you can try as hard as you want to understand it. I guess it's just to be empathetic, or to try to support.
It's definitely not bad to be empathetic.
I don't even know what the right thing to do is, because you never know.
And that experience fully changed like everything about me. I remember that story. Like, that's one of the things I refer to most in life whenever I have conversations with people about politics. I know you're not supposed to talk about politics, but how fun. You know,
I like talking about them for a little while.
Yeah, for a little.
After like the second hour with Grandpa, you're like, okay, let's fucking relax.
Yeah, but like when I hear their perspective sometimes, and it's so far, I always refer to that experience. I'm like, dude, we're so lucky, even just being here, even if you're not lucky here. But that being said, there is a lot of shit wrong here. But like,
if you live in Canada, you've got it pretty good, even at like the lowest of the low. But I mean,
even the lowest of the low though here sucks. Let's be honest,
it's horrible. But I'd rather take that than living in a third world, like, you know.
Yeah, where literally there are no social assistance, there are no credit cards, there are no means to anything. It's like
obviously the problems, you can just gauge the problems. Like if you have a country, there's going to be horrible atrocities happening and like the terrible problems and stuff. But as far as like the entire population of the world, there's some people who
Canada's a good place to be.
Yeah. I mean, just to, even in the way that you can change things here, and you can protest, and you can have like freedom of speech, and you can pretty much voice your opinion, and you can try to change things. But if you lived in a place where they would kill you if you stole something. If you say something against the government, you just go missing. You can't report on anything. You can't protest. Like there's a lot.
It's always like frustrating for me too, to like try and like vocalize that to my friends who have never really not even like, I don't think it matters if you've traveled or not. I really don't. I think it matters if you can like have empathy for the way the world really works. Like second world, third world countries, if you really had an awareness of what it was like to live in a place like that, then there's no way that you could complain about what it is like to live here. Especially for like people like us, dude. White men in Canada. Yeah. Like, what? It literally, I could fail at everything I did and still be floating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's how I can understand why people hate
us by looking at us.
Or like if you are traveling or something and you go to some of those countries, they'll hate you automatically if they think you're American or Canadian. Like it's because you have so much privilege and you have so many opportunities, and they're not wrong. Yeah, you have everything that you could fucking ask for ever, and you're still
complaining.
Yeah, you're still complaining, and that's why I try to stay off of the like conversational side of Facebook and stuff like that, because I don't know shit about anything, and I don't have an opinion, and all these issues, like it's good to read and it's good to see both sides of it, but like I don't fucking know anything. Like I shouldn't be a part of this conversation, because most of the people in those conversations shouldn't be either. It's just
just people that think they know or like want. And you know what? I'm like super guilty of that. Like I think that like,
well, you're doing it more as a recreational.
No, to be honest, you know what I do it as in my mind, at least. Like this could definitely be debated, I'm sure, but like I do it as like an experiment. Like every time I purposely provoke the ether that is social media, I do it from a place where it's like, I'm genuinely curious. Like I might have my inklings or like leaning towards one side, or like I might even have a stance. But for the most part, I do it partly to like see if anyone comes up with anything to change my stance.
Yeah, that's a good that's why I read them for people like
That-
who are there, where there is like, it's not just back and forth screaming at each other of like, this side's right, no, this side's right. You have to like read those good conversations where
good
someone's
ones.
like, oh yeah, do you have proof for that? And like someone puts an article, you read the article, then someone's like, oh, well, how about this one? It's the other side's article. And then
Yeah.
you kind of like read both sides of it, and then they come to like,
Dude.
that's what the way that the internet should be used for.
And I honestly find that whenever I do it on Facebook, I get that. Like, I get some people that chime in that like make me think. And I get a lot more people that chime in that just say like, I like the color blue, so Andrew Scheer. Or, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Just like the closed-minded, never going to change your opinion, and it's on both sides.
They have
of
no
it.
backing, or like they have no real reason.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just, I don't know. Like, as humans, we just love to take sides. It's just like human nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I genuinely do like when fucking the Canadian election was happening, dude.
Oh, that was
I was
mayhem.
active. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day I was just trying to think of a way to just rile everyone up.
I was
that-
in the fantasy football chat, turned into
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Frank
Team
left
Jag
versus
meets.
right. Yeah, it's like
And the funny thing is like I would probably subscribe to the left, but not with like full like
Yeah.
every percent of my being. There's a lot of like, for instance, my grandpa left.
as
No
far as
going
it goes.
right.
Well, he's like
ever.
a socialist, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like no matter what you say, no matter what argument you make, never right. It's just, and like he has, you know, he was tortured in Chile, so he has like an excuse, but like, whereas me, it's like, dude, I watch as much Fox News as I watch CNN, you know, like,
Yeah.
because I think that neither of them have all the answers, and that's why I don't love politics, is because I'm like, if you guys just like stopped trying to make it a competition of me versus you and just like tried to put your different heads together.
Yeah. It's just another level of distraction. Like there's so many just different layers of the onion of what
Yeah.
people are, what you get distracted by social media. And then up above that is the battle of politics. And up above that is the battle of economics.
Right.
And above that is like the battle
There-
of power in the
Yeah.
world who like,
There's so many levels to
it's
the shit.
And I think that's what's kind of detrimental to the entire human race, is that can get so focused on these things that are like the local problems and like the national problems and all of the shit, but like the root of everything is just like greed and like horrible rich people controlling the entire world. If you'd like eliminated the economic situation from everything, if you could just magically take it off,
It's
and
called communism.
yeah, well, I mean, just like magically made everybody have the same amount of resources, the same amount of healthcare and stuff like that, the problems would work out so much easier when there wasn't a like profit margin that all
Right.
these companies had to make every year.
Yeah, or there wasn't like some type of me getting ahead of you mentality.
Exactly, and that's what fuels all the colonial hatred
Corporate
and all
greed,
of the, everything.
neoliberalism.
It all comes back to like greed and like the shitty the tops of these huge systems that
Yeah.
are just trying to make more and more money and have more and more power.
Yeah, there's a really good book that I read several years ago, but it's called The Shock Doctrine.
Oh
And
yeah,
have you read it?
Krista gave it to me. I've been reading it slowly for the last 3
Well,
years.
there's a documentary if you just want to speed through
Okay,
it.
yeah, that's probably useful for me. I suck at reading these days.
Yeah, it's tough, dude. I know the feeling. But like what it describes is, first of all, the introduction of like free market values, so like capitalism and like, you know, very little to essentially no government involved in the country, you know, like private everything,
Yeah.
for profit.
Like it's like about taking advantage of disasters to like right.
So the first experiment to indoctrinate neoliberalism into a new country was Chile, dude, where my grandpa was.
Oh, yeah, it was the
the 1973
It was
military
like the
coup.
dictator.
Yeah.
They put in.
So there was General Pinochet.
Yeah, Pinochet.
Yeah, so his army. I'm gonna try and fucking give a little history lesson real quickly. So, President Nixon from the U.S. They wanted to implement neoliberalism into a new country that was not a neoliberal country, was not conservative to the right or whatever. So President Nixon funded a $1 million propaganda campaign with the main newspaper in Chile, the right-wing newspaper, to kind of ease them into the idea of not being so socialist, because at the time they were a democratically elected socialist president. His name was Salvador Allende.
So he's trying to plant the seed to.
Yeah, he was trying to plant the seed in the people's minds that he needed to back this coup that would eventually come in 1973, and it did. They overthrew the democratically elected president, of which my grandpa was a supporter of, and he was a professor of agriculture, and he had this political group that he met with one lunch hour a week just to chat politics. It wasn't even like a radical anything.
Yeah, just a
It was
community group.
Yeah.
like of intellectuals.
Yeah, although I think he did say they had a radio that they weren't supposed to have. I don't know. It sounded pretty fucked up. Yeah, I'll have to have him on the pod to tell the story. But but yeah. So, anyways, they end up overthrowing Salvador Allende, and the whole city was in crisis because the president's palace was bombed and blah, blah, blah. And the shock doctrine is the idea that when a country is in crisis, if you can introduce a new, very radically different ideology into the fabric of that country, that's the best time to do it, because anything to save them from the chaos that they're in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they use that strategy for even like minor things. They even these days you can see when something really terrible is happening, then they push through a bunch of laws to get a little bit more power. Yeah. That's kind of how those systems function, to maintain and to perpetuate themselves so that they continue to grow or they continue to stay where they are. It never it doesn't go the opposite way very often.
And neoliberalism comes from two schools, the Chicago boys and the Frankfurt school, and it's essentially free market wins. It rules the economy, rules the country, but it always falls apart, and it creates the most inequality out of any economic style of governance.
The free market?
The free market, it's called neoliberalism, I think. Honestly, my knowledge is a little old because this was like stuff I learned in college, so like 2013, but still I know the story very well, and I just if you're trying to implement some new style of a way of thinking for an entire country, it's during a crisis. Anyways, great book. You have to check it out. It's really good.
I've had it like sitting on my thing. I've just like slowly did a page or two here and there.
Yeah.
And I don't have time for this.
Well, it's so hard to find the time, man. I love reading too, and I just struggle. It's a struggle to find the time.
Yeah, I'm probably just lazy.
But you can hit up the documentary. It's really, really good.
I'll
man.
have to for sure.
And obviously it's a documentary, so it's fucking probably swayed one way. And I'm not saying that
I definitely have time for that. I watched like 6 hours of a documentary about a child murder yesterday.
Which one? Oh, Gabriel Gonzalez.
So I
got to like episode 2, so don't tell me of that.
If I can occupy my whole day watching child murder, I can definitely take a moment or two for economic crises.
So what do you think, just to kind of take it back full circle and kind of just end this cast, what do you think is like the answer for someone like me who's trying to raise like a little girl in everything we just talked about? Like, what is what's the answer? Like, for me, it's just to lead by example, but like, I'm kind of fucked up, so I don't really necessarily want her to base the way she is off of me, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a deeply flawed human.
I think I don't. I'm not a good parenting
Yeah, but you're
person to ask. But
best human I know. So
yeah, I'd say you just do the best that you can. I mean, that's all that you ever can do. And when you learn about new methods or new outlooks to take or new ways to teach children, I mean, just do your best to do your best. You're gonna fuck up and there's gonna be horrible times, I'm sure, but it's there's only so much a person can do. You can't. I think overthinking it is going to do the same thing that overthinking a movie or overthinking music is going to.
It's never helpful.
Yeah, you're going to get pushback if you try to police someone in a certain way. I'm sure you know people who have been brought up religious and then as soon as you get the freedom,
they're in porn.
Yeah, you have to fucking you have to have a balance.
Kids.
Just moderation, man. And I know nothing about children or anything.
But dude,
so
neither did I. It was so funny because I remember telling you and me dude, what a hilarious situation that was. I remember sitting with you at Leo's.
Oh yeah, that is pretty funny.
Telling you this was literally a month, 2 months before. I don't even remember when, but it was somewhere March or I don't know. I looked at Dylan in his eyes and I'm like, dude, I don't think I will ever have children. Yeah. I don't think I want kids. I don't think I need them. I'm fucking busy. I don't want a child. And within months of that,
the next time I hung out with you, you're like,
I told you.
So
you didn't think I was serious.
I was like,
I had them all over for a barbecue. And it was like an inconspicuous Dylan's. You were one of the first friends that I told, and I was just like, so Hope's pregnant, and you just laughed it off. You didn't. I don't even think you for a second thought I was serious.
It was the second thing you said to me. I wasn't prepared for that. It's walking. You're oh man, you want to there's some burgers right there, some buns and stuff. Help yourself. Cool. I was
pregnant.
I was putting together a hamburger, and you're like, so Hope's pregnant. Oh yeah.
But I just remember so vividly. You just laughed, and then I knew that you didn't. It didn't even register that it was a possibility.
I just I didn't want to I needed a few minutes to react because I wanted to gauge the audience before I was oh or yeah. But I mean, I definitely if
so funny.
Yeah, if you asked all of my friends right now, any of my buddies to if you asked me if any of them should have children, you'd definitely be one of the ones I'd be more confident in saying yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, there's some of my buddies.
I appreciate that.
If they had kids, I would be horrified. Dude, what are you gonna do? Your door doesn't lock. What the fuck,
dude? But I don't even I don't know. When I first found out, I was the same type of reaction. Just whoa, dude. I even thought how am I gonna tell Dill? Life's over, dude. No more fucking. But then you realize,
it's
dude,
just one of those things that happens.
Life is not over at all.
No,
my life feels the same, except that I get to do the things I love more.
Yeah. It's the same as moving to a new city or something like that. You're okay, well, I'm really going out on a limb here. I'm going to move and maybe I'm never going to see any of these friends again. And you get there and the first 2 months or whatever, you're I made a huge mistake. And then 6 months later when you're this place is actually dope and I'm way better off now. Dude, it's the same as
it's exactly it. That's why I'm a huge proponent of unprotected sex, no safe sex, pro-life.
This podcast brought to you by Raw Dog.
This podcast brought to you by the United Church. Yeah, no, I'm definitely pro-choice.
That's a weird sub-angle, though. It's pro-life, pro-choice. Or then there's people who are just get everyone pregnant.
I'm not actually like that for sure. Don't accidentally do it the way I did it. But it worked out so good for me that it's hard not to be dude,
man, yeah.
If it doesn't work out with you guys, at least you got a beautiful kid and makes you more humble and less of a fucking arrogant loser. And I don't know.
I think you got it together, man. You seem like you're...
No, I don't. I'm falling apart on this inside. But that's why I got these candles lit in here. And
I was wondering about that and the Cosby record.
no, actually, the Cosby record is because a thing that me and Hope do is we go to like Value Village and we find like the weirdest looking, like if you look at behind that Bath and Body Works, the guy has a foot in his mouth.
Oh, great.
Like we just find the weirdest ones. And I was like, dude, Cosby? Yes, I need that.
Yeah, my band has a Cosby tape in the van for sure. It was like before the
I
allegations.
like dark humor like that, even though it's fucked.
We bought it before we knew he was a raper.
And he kept it because like King of Pop. Same idea.
Bill Cosby.
No,
King of Pop.
I just mean like Michael Jackson. Like, you know.
Yeah. Did you listen to the Cosby podcast?
No.
Chasing Cosby?
What's that?
It's just like a true crime podcast about how fucked up that dude is and has
How
like
good is
interviews. It's pretty good. It's sometimes I listen to the podcast for such a long time and then you're just like, why am I putting my brain
Why
through
did
this?
I waste so much of my time?
You're having like weird thoughts.
Literally what
yeah.
people are thinking right now. If they're still listening to this, they're just
No
like,
one's gonna
wow.
listen to this.
No one
This
will
would be,
listen.
if someone did listen this far into this podcast, I'd be
You know what though?
very surprised.
It's very surprising because people do, man. I guarantee you, people will message me like, that's what's so weird about it. Is like, why does anyone care about my conversations? But I think what it is like my goal is to just learn some new shit from whether it's people who I've known forever like you or, you know, people I've never met. I'm so, like, dude, I was thinking the other day when I was getting my teeth cleaned, I'm like, dude, I should ask my dentist if he'd come on the podcast to just tell me about teeth. Cause I'm so curious of like all the shit about teeth. And like, I know it's funny, dude, but like that's just kind of what this is for me. It's like an excuse for me to learn some shit.
I bet he would be stoked. He's like, no one's ever asked me if they're interested
every
in
time
teeth.
he cleans my teeth, he's like, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, nothing, man, just hanging out. And he's like, oh, I'll have you over for some beers. Like I got my teeth cleaned last Friday, and he's like, I'll text you this weekend. My wife's out of town, so we can like hit the tub and have some beers and hang out. And like I knew he wasn't gonna text me, but I was just like,
your dentist said that?
My dentist, yeah. Well, he's
fuck?
like, it's one of the Barker boys, so like
okay.
I
know him kind of?
Yeah, kind of. Like we played football together when we were little, and like I just know his family because like his little brother Casey is like a friend of mine. And
man, what kind of beers do dentists drink?
But that's what I'm saying. That's a question that's like, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can learn shit from everybody, dude. I know nothing about teeth. I love teeth. I love brushing my teeth. I love going to the dentist and getting poked. And I just want to like know some shit. Like what is that you put on my teeth? Like,
yeah, I'm definitely on your side now. At first I was hesitant with the whole dentist bit. Now I'm kind of on board.
Name is Crentist.
Dentist named Crentist. No,
but dude, am I wrong? Like, I don't know. I feel like I can meet someone who, on the outside, you're like, you are a regular person.
Yeah.
But you can still find something to learn from them. Like,
don't dentists always want to kill themselves? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah, but my dentist looks like Superman. He's 6'8", fucking jacked, beautiful, like looks like Clark Kent.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I doubt he wants to kill himself. But that's what I would ask him. Like, dude, are you suicidal? Because like you should be.
If you're out there, Mr. Dentist, if you're out there, please email.
I don't know, man. I
should book him, man.
The thing is like I get that like no one's gonna listen to this, but that's kind of not even a thought to me because this is like purely narcissistically for me. Like,
yeah,
I need to learn shit because I know how dumb I am and how deeply flawed.
If you like doing it, it's probably good just to get the juices flowing with like podcasts in general, even if these are like episodes you delete eventually or whatever, and you have like an actual podcast.
Never deleting episodes,
but just like get the flow and get like the natural conversation going. I'm sure you're probably already used to it because you've been doing it for a while now. But
no, man, I'm so not used to it. Like the last podcast I did, like when I was editing it, I'm like, man, I say and way too much. If I was me listening to me, I would fucking turn it off in two minutes.
Yeah, I probably say like. I probably have said like 10,000 times.
And I say literally a lot, and like, you know, these are things, but that's why I like it, because when you listen back, you're like, wow, I sound like a wiener. Yeah. And I've pretty much said that after every single conversation I've had so far on the podcast.
I don't even want to listen to this back. I've never done a podcast before, but I did do like done a couple interviews and then like listened to the interview afterwards, and you just feel like the scum, like the worst.
My buddy, you know, Lane sent this, but he was making fun of me. He's like, oh, a podcast about Dank, about himself, like how fitting. And I'm like, he's not wrong. Like, but like a part of why I do this, honestly, is to like listen to how the world perceives me and like fix it. Like, I hate myself after listening to these back, but it's like, okay, well, maybe. And sometimes I think I'm making progress, like, oh yeah, listen more, talk less. But then we have a podcast like this where I've talked way too much, and then I'm just like, fuck, still lots to do,
man. Whatever feels right, you do.
Yeah, that's what she said. But yeah, I don't know, the whole consent thing just boggles my mind. Like, what even is consent, you know?
It's not for us to decide.
Does no really mean no?
Whoa.
or does it mean like, no, stop?
Oh my God.
No, that's a Bill Burr bit, so you can't come at me. That's fucking Bill Burr, his latest special. But he does make a good point. Like, I know him. Like, you know what? It's not my idea, so don't get mad at me. But he makes a good point. Like, does no mean no always? Or does it like, oh, stop it? Like, no, don't touch me. But like, really, they want you, like, I don't know. These are the questions. Like, I'm horrified of like little kids with my little daughter. Like when she's like 7. Like, dude.
It's gonna be weird for you, for sure. You've like dated quite a lot of people and stuff like that. So
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be. Right. I'm sure you'll handle it.
Karma, man.
You'll handle it just great.
Yeah, you have to say that because you're my friend. Fuck. But anyways, you need to be a regular, even if no one listens. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I'll come back on, man.
It's an excuse for me to hang out with you every week and have cool conversations with people. My dentist.
Oh man, I'm down for the dentist thing. I've got so many questions to ask.
Right, dude. Right. That's what I'm saying. Is
just like why?
Yeah,
like why teeth?
Why teeth? And like, are teeth really that important? If I can just get fake ones, if mine fall off, like I'm white.
Yeah, man. And like, what about like animals that don't have teeth? They're fucking pretty cool.
Yeah, or grandmas.
They're doing just fine.
Grandmas are fine. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm very excited that you came on the podcast today. I know it was like kind of a learning experience, but honestly, like, we'll look back in 3 years and maybe there'll be way more episodes and we'll just be like, oh, it's kind of cool that we were so dumb and had the weirdest conversation and went on so many tangents that really made no sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully it was for the 3 or 4 people who listened to it.
No, last episode we got, I think, 100, which was more than I thought, to be honest.
That's terrifying.
Imagine just a room of 100 people.
I don't want to think about that.
You can't think about it. And I feel like, I don't know, at the end of the day, I got a conversation with Dylan that lasted 1 hour and 37 minutes or so.
Nice.
So that's good. And if one of us ever dies, we'll always have this. So that's a kind of a dark and morbid thought, but also sort of warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Okay, until next episode, hopefully you'll be there. But if not, meet Dylan Nash, the regular, one of my best buddies. You can follow him. He's a very extremely good tattoo artist. We didn't even get into that. I can't wait to talk about that the next time we talk. But he's been tattooing for a year. He's amazing. He's done my whole leg so far. And I'm sure very more, like, I will definitely continue getting tatted by him. It's also done my arm, my full arm, essentially. You can find him at Throat Pipe.
Jesus.
What is the meaning behind that, by the way?
When the Instagram started, I had it as just a personal account, and we had like a band. My band had a song called Throw Pipe, and I was just typing stuff in. It was all taken, so I put in Throw Pipe, and then I uploaded
Just
Willem Dafoe, and I haven't changed it. I probably should. That's like not very professional
That's
at all.
so funny. Your profile picture is William Dafoe. It's so funny. Dude.
It's always
I was
has
literally
been.
thinking that the other day. I'm like, his profile picture since as far back as I can remember, maybe always, has been William Dafoe.
Yeah, man. It's just it was what went in and what stayed there. It's not gonna change.
But yeah, definitely check him out. He's one of my favorite people in the universe. The yin to my yang. My man Dylan. We'll see you next week, maybe.
Yeah, man. See you next week. Thanks for having me.
Okay. And goodbye. Woo!